2 years ago, and tomorrow was the day I had my daughter. So she's 32.
Hmm.
Yeah. Getting
Wow.
ready for that birth.
It's beautiful. So today, I guess, is a good day for us to do some do a little ceremony of some sort. We are going out into the where are we going, Tala? We're going to Red Rock. We're going for a hike. We're going to a drum circle. We're going to be offering some gifts back to the land. Tell us.
We're gonna be going to Red Rock today. You pretty much said all of that. We'll do a land offering, honor the directions, and maybe play some song. And I know that there's also a drum circle out in Red Rock. So
Nice. Okay, so that's what we will be doing. And we are on chapter 18, section 3, called Light in the Dream. So, wow. How fitting. So, before we get started, I think that's really beautiful with all the shares about the winter solstice. Um, and since I jumped on late, I think we've given enough time for people to people to jump on. So I apologize for that. Literally woke up like 1 minute ago, but I'm excited for this call and I've been looking forward to it. So I was like, yeah, I'm not missing this thing. Um, all right. Well, let's just set an intention and offer a little prayer for our gathering here. And I want to first just start by saying thank you guys for making it important enough and taking the time out to be on this call here today. The purpose of these calls is for us to open our hearts more and to shed light and love to places within our hearts of where there's any obstacles, challenges, pains, and grievances that we may be holding. So the Course also says that the importance of setting an intention, setting a goal, so that the outcome of our gathering here today is already determined. If we don't set a goal, if we don't set an intention, when we forget to do that, we experience life as if life is happening to us. And any time that we look backwards, if we experience life and we try to interpret backwards, without the intention, without seeing it from a place of love and kindness and compassion, the ego will take over the interpretation. And the ego will interpret through our survival contracts. All right. So as we open here today, we ask Holy Spirit, Great Spirit, to guide us in our gathering, in our conversations today. Guide us in our speaking, guide us in our listening. May we let go of control, let go of the need to be right. Let go of any results that we may be attached to. May we let go of any grievances or judgments. And may the light enter this dream here today. May the light guide us in the challenges and obstacles that we may face as we enter into the holiday season. That we may bring love and light into our days, into the upcoming days as we enter into 2026. And may we remember who we are. as an extension of God, of love. And may that be enough for us here today. May we remember we are enough. Amen. I hope. Okay, so we left off on chapter 18, section 3, called The Light in the Dream. And chapter 18 is, the title of chapter 18 is called The Passing of the Dream. And what the course has been sharing with us and teaching with us here today, in this chapter, is uncollapsing the dream and the dreamer. And so what is holding together the dream? That's one of the questions for us as we study this section. I've been writing a lot, as some of you guys know from the last call. And if you haven't heard, in the beginning of our last call, I read a chapter from my book, Language of Peace. And I talk about the survival contracts that we signed. So what is the survival contract? Survival contract is a agreement that we sign that isn't signed really by us from a conscious place or from a place of love. It's an experience that we have and our nervous system comes up when we don't have the language, when we don't feel safe enough, when we don't have any, what word am I looking for? Starts with an F. Losing words this morning, sorry guys. Anyways, when we don't have language for our experience, the nervous system comes online and signs a contract for us. So for example, if little Alex was to raise his hand, ask a question, kids start laughing, there's no one to tell him, right, that it's okay, but there's laughter happening, and the nervous system interprets that, oh my God, it's unsafe to do this, right? And then the contract that the nervous system signs is don't raise your hand, don't stand out, don't talk, and makes up a bunch of stories. That's the dream. The dreamer, we're uncollapsing the dreamer and the dream in this section, in this chapter. And the contracts that we sign gets buried deep inside, and it operates underneath like an app that's running underneath the phone. And it affects all of our experiences and decisions moving into the future. And one after another, thousands, millions of experiences in our lives, all impacted by our survival contracts. And the way that and it affects our relationships. I know it's affected my relationship with love. Some of the things that are operating underneath show up. Mine just happens to be like anger and rage. When I was younger, I got picked up from Taiwan out of nowhere and just plucked out of there and moved to the US. It was like a whole nother planet. And yeah, it was traumatic at the time. And I didn't really know why it was happening. I read about this in the last call. I'm going to share, I feel called to share this next section that I wrote. It's really fitting with chapter 18. It's no coincidence that where we are, it's kind of the same thing that's happening in my writing as well. So, one sec. I would love to open it up actually before while I'm opening this up for anybody that has any shares for any challenges, obstacles, things like that may have come up this week from our last call to this one. or anything that's just on your heart that wants to be shared.
I personally have a really, really vulnerable situation with my child. I don't know if everybody's open to that or not.
Yeah, please, brother.
This is like utter humiliation and vulnerability, and it's I'm scared to even share it, but I feel like just with the pretense of what's happening, it feels like I have to release it.
Yeah.
And I just ask for you all to please just hold me in love and stay neutral, and please not judge me, as the majority of the call seems to be female.
Hmm. I got you, brother. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So, Alex, as you may have known, I came out in July. I had just relocated back to Ashland, Oregon, and I came here, back here to be a father and to I did everything I could to bend over backwards to cater to my son's mother's school schedule. And I turned down work. I made less money. I suffered in a sense of just whatever, like financially, whatever, just so that I could pick him up and drop him off from his preschool and on awkward times and days. And I've gone above and beyond to be present um, for my 4-year-old and his mother, who's finishing her senior year of college in business.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been taking him on more than I can, with trying to make money and just trying to keep my head above water. And this week, I took him Tuesday and Wednesday, my days off, and we just have the best time. It's always zen, and it's always fun, and it's always really, really awesome. I don't have any problems with him ever. It's like really, it's a really good time.
Mm-hmm.
With him. We have a really good vibe, and that's what I was reflecting in my share last week. It's like he's the light of my world. He's my anchor. He's my heart medicine. I don't need any other medicine than being with him. And so, on the contrary, there's so much light there, right? There's so much light and love with me and Jade Hart Avalon, my youngest son. And it's just purely blessed. And on the opposite side of that veil, here it comes. Okay. Whew. Finances are weighing heavy in my life, in a sense that I'm paying more than I can afford. And I had my DoorDash app on, and I got a DoorDash to go a mile away. And essentially, I talked to my son, had a movie on, he had his coloring book out, he was like in the Christmas lights, in the bliss of the space we're in, and there's no justification and there's no excuse for this. I said, Jade, I gotta go to the gas station real quick. Daddy's gotta go real quick. Can you come with me? He goes, no, Daddy, I want to stay. I said, Jade, would you like to come with me? I have to leave real quick. I asked him 2 to 3 times, and he asserted very consciously, no, Daddy, I just want to stay. I'm good. I said, okay, Daddy will be right back. I went, I did a quick DoorDash. I came right back. Everything was totally chill. However, in this world, that is seen as child neglect. And when he went back to his mom's house, he told his mom, Daddy left to go get gas. And then she confronted me, and I said, and I didn't even remember leaving, because I didn't even, and then I said, oh, absolutely not. And then I recalled, and I said, oh, okay, yes, I do remember. I went and did a quick 10-minute run. I went a mile away, dropped some milk, came right back, checked on him, everything was cool. I turned off the app because I was like, well, that wasn't a really smart thing. I'm not going to do that. And in this process, I'm one of the best dads on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Literally. I am childlike, I'm innocent, and I am present with my Jade Heart Avalon. He's the world to me. He's my world. And she, on the other side of the coin, is blasting me, threatening, like trying, like holding anger and resentments from our past relationship and telling me that I'm free to be a walking man, that I'm not behind bars, and threatening to like tell his preschool teachers. And I had a talk with her right before entering this call, and basically is stripping me of all parental rights because her and her parents are from Miami and they have lots of money and they dominate everything, and I'm just some poor 43-year-old single male who's living out of a hotel room, just doing my best to not let my business drown and to not hit the streets. Overly bombarded with financial issues. My car got totaled. All these things are weighing heavy on my consciousness. A great spirit has stripped me down, has taken my credit away, has taken my brand new, fully loaded, hybrid, beautiful electric blue Pandora Blue Avatar vehicle away. It's one of the name of my formulas. It was my vehicle of light that I traveled into Salt Lake and that I used for many years. All of my worldly possessions are being taken away from me. And now the mother of my child is threatening to take my son away from me.
Mm-hmm.
And using child protection services and authority, false authority figures, and making me out to be an unfit parent because of her deep-rooted anger and resentment towards me from our previous relations.
Yeah, it's tough, brother. And we all have obstacles and challenges and classrooms that we are put in, and lots of love and prayers for you. And in times of challenges like this, like I'm going through some personal challenges as well, but in times of challenges, we actually have the opportunity to deepen our connection with Source, with God.
Yes.
And offering prayer, that when we think and when we look at everything, it can be overwhelming for us. But in the moments, right, this is what the Course calls us to, is the holy instant. In moments can you find peace. Where can you find peace? You are actually not upset at her or at the situation or anything really. You're really upset at what you make all of this mean for you. What does it mean about you? What does it mean about her? What does it mean about the world?
Mm-hmm.
And as you're experiencing this is perfect, with the light of the dream too. As you are experiencing this, there are contracts that you are starting to sign unconsciously because the nervous system is making up something about being a father, about how her family does, and all the things. There are things underneath that are being signed. This is why it's important for us in these moments to pray and connect to God and give these things over. We don't want to sign the contracts, so
it's completely out of my hands.
yeah, anything ever, not what's ever in our hands.
Nothing.
And I hope that in this time, like, we really just experience what you're experiencing and go through it, and then ask for support where you need, and allow the receiving to open up for you. And
Yes.
yeah, hold on, what is this?
100%.
Okay, will do. Go ahead. Did you want to say something, Christine?
I do. First of all, my heart goes out to Mikhail. I feel your passion with your child, and being a parent myself, there's nothing harder than when that relationship gets threatened by outside. It's really not threatened, is it? But it feels like it. So my heart goes out to you today. My intention to speak this today was to do it with you personally, Alex. But there's been a number of things said just here this morning that I feel like it would be more appropriate here. Had an amazing last week in Las Vegas. Got to spend some amazing time with some amazing people. Absolutely loved Fremont downtown experience and being around you. And then as I went into the rest of the week, it's almost like I stood back and watched myself move. Like I wasn't in myself. I don't know if you've ever had that experience, but I just watched myself and just kept shaking my head because I was very negative, and I want to apologize. And I also want to say it was such an amazing experience because I kept going back to what the Course says. My frustration, my anger isn't about the situation. It's about the story I'm telling myself around the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept calling that in, and it kept landing almost with a thud, and I would get up and I would do the thing over again, and I'd be very negative, and I'd be like, what the hell is going on? And I got to come home, and I slept. So I will say sleep is an amazing thing. It gives new light to, we're talking about light this morning, to the situation. And it was like the flick of a light switch. And I could see that I wasn't listening to myself. And that is where my frustration was. It wasn't on who I was placing it on.
Mm-hmm.
And I had huge gratitude for all of the things that I was so negative and angry about, to be like, oh, you were just showing me to listen to what my intention was going into that week, of which I wasn't listening to. And then I was being tugged back and forth with fear of missing out, with all the things. And I'm like, I just needed to listen to what my nervous system was telling was right for me, and not expressing that on anybody else. So thank you for all the wisdom that you share through A Course in Miracles. Your guidance is, I'll say it again, the best I've ever been around. Marianne Williamson aside, but you continue to bring it back to love. And you are a great model for me. And so I do want to apologize for my struggles to stay positive, but I'm so freaking grateful for every time I get to be around you, because you just continue to model what the type of person I want to be. It always amazes me when you talk about your own struggles, because I just think you're amazing, and I love that you're so authentic, because you show me that this is it. This is the work we're doing, and it's not about trying to hide that or be perfect or everything. So thank you for, one, being authentic, 2, for always continuing to be there in love, and 3, for sharing yourself and your message, because I know it's affected my life. So
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And I think you'll find the section that I wrote pretty fitting for what you just shared as well. Who's the 160? I guess iPhone 160. Got a hand up. I'm not sure who that is. All right then. Well, Christine, thank you for what you just shared right there, and the kind words. We're all navigating through different forms of challenges, but it's really all essentially the same. That we've given up our peace for control. We've given up our peace for all the contracts that we signed, for our anger, for what we thought was protection for ourselves. Michael Rosenberg, welcome, brother. Okay, I would love to just share this chapter that I completed. I'm not there's just a couple people I've sent this to give me some feedback and thoughts on, but I want to share on this call here. So the book is called A Language of Peace, and chapter 1 that we went through last week is called The Contract I Didn't Know I Signed, and today chapter 2 is called The Misunderstood Protector. The ego was never the problem. The war with it is. For most of my life, I believe that the ego was the enemy. Society has taught us this. You're so ego-driven. Check your ego. Kill your ego. So I try to destroy it. But when you fight something, you keep it alive. When you try to overcome something, you make it stronger. And when you resist something, you give it power. Every time I attacked my ego, I abandoned the same child over and over again. The ego was little Alex's protector, the only one who showed up when the world felt unsafe. The more I attacked the protector, the more unsafe little Alex felt. The only way back to him was to drop the war. One of my earliest memories of rage happened before I had language for anything at all. I wasn't just told no, I was punished for it. I don't remember exactly what I wanted. I just know I laid on the ground, refusing to leave. My body said what my words couldn't. I don't want to go. I don't understand. Something is wrong here. No one explained to me what was happening. No one knelt down and said, I know this is hard. No one was holding me through the fear. I was grabbed, hit, and forced to move. This happened at an airport in Taiwan. The last memories before leaving my country, leaving my father, leaving everything I knew. I was being taken to America. I didn't know what America was. I don't even know why we were leaving. I didn't know if I would ever come back. All I knew was that the world was ending, and no one was helping me understand why. That moment at the airport wasn't just about being told no. It was the memory. It was the moment my nervous system said it's unsafe to express pain. I'm overwhelmed. I am overpowered when I feel overwhelmed. When I'm scared, I'm alone. Little Alex didn't need discipline. He didn't need force. He didn't need to be made smaller. Little Alex needed someone to kneel down and say everything's going to be okay. You're not going through this alone. I know you're scared. I'm scared too. But we're going to get through this together. You're safe with me, and I love you. I needed someone to hold him. He needed someone to hold him through the fear, to make sense of what was happening, to promise that even though everything was changing, he wouldn't be abandoned. As I'm reading this part too, we can think about our own challenges right now and what we're going through. Little you went through lots of things like this, and today we still do. He needed someone to see that the tantrum wasn't defiance, it was terror. But that moment never came. So the nervous system created its own solution. When the world outside feels unsafe, the body creates safety from within. That's how the protector was born. The protector, what we call the ego, became armor. It was just simple and singular. Don't be hurt again. Don't feel helpless again. Don't be afraid. The contract the nervous system signed sang deeper, out of sight, away from doubt, buried where no one could question it or take it away. And what showed up looks like when things get out of control, I will be out of control in an attempt to gain some sense of control and power. This wasn't a conscious choice, it was a survival mechanism, a brilliant, desperate solution created by a nervous system that had learned the world was dangerous and no help was coming. The rage I carried wasn't about domination, it wasn't about hurting others or prove that I was stronger. Rage was my ego calling to arms when pain had nowhere to go, nowhere safe to go. This pattern repeated and showed up everywhere. I remember in second grade, right after I moved to the States, the only English word I knew was orange. I even thought my name was Orange. That's how lost I was. One day, someone stole a quarter from me. This quarter I was going to use to buy one of those little ice cream cups at lunch. It was just a quarter, 25 cents, nothing to anyone, but to me, it was one of the few things I had control over in this world where I had controlled nothing. There was a boy named Eric who was assigned to look out for me, to help navigate this foreign world. I grabbed him and I threw him against the wall. I don't even think it was him that took the quarter. I just knew something had been taken from me and he was supposed to protect me and he didn't. So I exploded. I ran away from school. The principal chased me down the street. I smashed my boombox. I punched my sister over a french fry. None of this made sense. Not to anyone watching, not even to me. Each explosion was a pressure release. My nervous system was flooded, constantly on high alert. No language to express what I felt. No safety to come down from the fear. No framework. No framework to make sense of anything. When rage came, everything turned red. All logic disappeared, all consequences vanished, and then the thinking part of me went offline. All that remained was a desperate need to gain control. When I didn't feel safe, I became unsafe. So I think, some men and even women can relate to this rage that comes sometimes, And so I feel for you, Mikhail. As men, when the pressure gets put on so hard, like we can lose control, just sending love and compassion out to the little us that signed this contract that the world wasn't safe and how we were supposed to react to it. Every explosion, though, was followed by shame. The rage would pass, the red would fade, and I'd be left standing in the wreckage, broken things, broken trust, people looking at me like I was dangerous. The shame was worse than rage. At least in rage, I felt powerful for a moment. In shame, I felt small, wrong, and broken. And then every shame was followed by withdrawal. I'd retreat, pull inward, build the wall taller, tell myself I don't need anyone anyways, tell myself connection was overrated and I was better off alone. Every withdrawal made the armor thicker. The contract sank deeper. The protector became louder, and the child underneath, the one who just wanted to be understood, who just wants someone to say, I see you, you're safe, became quieter. This wasn't a temper problem. This was a safety problem. Control is the armor we wear when life feels uncontrollable. Years later, A Course in Miracles would give me the language for what my nervous system already knew. The Course taught me that every attack is a call for love, and that beneath every defense is a wound asking to be seen. The protector that saved me in childhood had become my prison. What protected me from pain also protected me from love. I learned to see my mother's fear. A Course in Miracles teaches that forgiveness is seeing the call for love beneath the attack. When we understand the survival contracts driving someone's behavior, blame dissolves. It took me many years to see the truth. My mother was not cruel, she was terrified. Her marriage had collapsed. Her world had shattered. She was trying to survive too. She didn't have the capacity to understand what I was going through because no one was understanding what she was going through. Shame is the price we pay for survival without being understood. She had her own survival contract formed long before that point. Keep moving. Stay strong. Don't break down. When I collapsed into a tantrum, her contract collided with mine. She saw a child who was needing control, and I felt a world that was crushing me. Neither of us was wrong. We were both trying to survive an impossible moment with the only tools we had. But something broke between us that day. Trust. The belief that she could hold my fear and make it safe. And without that trust, my contract sank even deeper. If I couldn't trust her to keep me safe, I couldn't trust anyone. The protector became more vigilant, the armor grew thicker, and the child withdrew further. And my heart aches for both of us, for the boy who needed to be held and the mother who didn't know how to hold him. For all these years, we lived side by side, each trapped in our own survival contract, unable to reach each other. Think about the person that has hurt you the most, the one whose actions shaped your survival contract. Can you see their fear? Can you see their own protector doing what it thought it had to do? This doesn't erase what happened, but it might soften the story you've been carrying around about what it means. The healing I chased through spirituality could only be expressed through kindness. Kindness to the part of me that raged, kindness to the protector that tried to save me, kindness to the child who had no words. The ego was never the enemy. It was a frightened child doing its best with no guidance. When I finally stopped the war with it, things softened. Kindness led to understanding, and understanding brought peace to the unrest I'd carried for so long. A Course in Miracles teaches the ego is an illusion, something miscreated through fear. It forms the moment we believe we're alone in handling something terrible. Forgiveness is recognizing that two survival contracts collided. It's seeing the fear underneath the harm. When I see my mother's fear, I can hold compassion for her choice she made that day. When I see my own terror, I can hold compassion for the protector that emerged. And compassion dissolves the story of wrongdoing. Hurt people are doing what hurt people do. Compassion shortens the war. If someone had brought compassion to little Alex at the airport, the protector might have never needed to become so fierce. If someone had brought compassion to my mother in her terror, she might have had the capacity to bring it to me. But what we don't dissolve, we carry, and the patterns repeat. Different faces, different situations, but the same survival contract playing out again and again. Compassion has to start somewhere. I didn't break the survival contract that day, but I began to see it. And the Course says something really simple that took me decades to understand. Let me recognize the problem so that it can be solved, and then let me recognize the problem has already been solved. When I first read those lines, I shrugged them off. They sounded like spiritual optimism, but now I hear them differently. You can't solve a problem you can't see. You can't heal a wound that you won't name. For years, I thought my rage was the problem. I thought my temper was the problem. I thought shame was the problem. But the Course was saying none of those were the problems. They were the symptoms. The real problem was a wound I never recognized. I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel understood. I didn't feel accompanied. And because no one helped me make sense of that, it kept operating underneath my life silently, like codes running in the background. The Course says the problem is already solved because in truth, nothing real was threatened. The terror was a misunderstanding. The ego was a misunderstanding. My anger was a misunderstanding. All of it was a frightened child trying to survive an experience that could have been met with compassion instead of force. The brain wrote a contract in the absence of safety and then kept rereading that contract long after the danger was gone. The work now isn't to shame the protector. It isn't to overpower the ego. It is simply to recognize why it appeared and offer what I never had: compassion, language, safety, presence. Someone saying, I see you and you are okay now. That's what dissolves the problem. Not force, not discipline, not punishment. Recognition. Because once the nervous system feels safe in the present, the old contract has nothing left to defend. The protector helped me survive, but compassion is what's going to help me live. Before we move forward, I want to invite you to pause. So each one of us just pausing and thinking about our own protectors. Think about the survival contracts that you signed without knowing it. Was it to be tough? Fight before anyone could hurt you? Was it being small, invisible enough to avoid being a target? Did you become a helper, earning your worth through what you could do for others? Did you become perfect, believing that if you never made mistakes, you'd be safe? Angry, rage was a wall, or numb, shutting down so that nothing can touch you. These contracts were signed in moments when you needed it the most. They showed up unconsciously, and they showed up unconsciously now. They show up unconsciously now whenever safety feels threatened. That protector is not your enemy. It kept you alive when no one else was coming to save you. You were not broken, you were just responding. And as we begin to learn the language of peace and identify our survival contracts, we can give them thanks for taking care of us when we had no language or framework. I invite you to gently ask if it's ready to rest, because the war doesn't end when you defeat the ego. It ends when you get off the battlefield, when you're willing to lay your sword down. The war ends when the protector is seen, but seeing is only the beginning. And now comes the question, who am I without the armor? The end of chapter 2. To be continued. I just want to use the example with my mom in that section for a moment too. And you can pick a person in your own life that perhaps this something that was the cause of your contract that you came up with, you know, like someone that wronged you or, you know, had you feel like safety of the world is out. And I think Mikhail is perfect for your situation with your baby's mom, with your kid's mom. It seems like all of these things are happening, right? And it's happening to you, and she's not being kind, and they're this, they're that. We just continue to make up these stories underneath. What would compassion do? Right? Compassion is to, first in chapter 1, we talked about seeing our own contracts. And now we can see, because we see our own contracts, these contracts that are buried deep will only come to the surface through invitation, kindness, understanding. When we try to beat it out of ourselves, when we shame and guilt ourselves, those contracts go deeper. But if we bring the light to it, if we bring compassion, compassion is light. If we bring compassion and light to it, today's section is called the light in the dream. we may or may not go into it. But now you can see hers, right? What are the survival contracts she comes from that's operating underneath for her? And when you can see that, you can bring compassion to it, because these actions and the words she says, they are simply a mirror to show what were those contracts.
What do you mean exactly by that?
So the way she reacts to you, the way she says things to you, her judgments, her attacks, all of those comes from her contracts that she signed. Right? Yes, exactly. They're based, it's fear-based. It's fear-based. Like,
so that just to say, simply reflect, like the last share I had with you last Sunday was talking about how Avalon Alchemista was born from my mom dying, my son being born the same day in Miami, Florida. I chose to receive my son with the doctor. We co-delivered the child. I was the first heart, Jade Heart. I was the first heart that we had a heart-to-heart connection in the hospital room. And what I meant by that share, this is the flip polar opposite of the alchemical experience of, I went to Miami with pure love and pure light in my heart to offer my whole being to her and her family. And I experienced fear-based control, possession, and domination and materialism. And I'm simply not that guy. I came from living as a minimalist, traveling the Hawaiian Islands, traveling the world, doing medicine work, and just going inward and becoming one of the most cosmic, like, weird humans that you've ever probably met. And that's one, it's beyond what I can understand. But the feeling is that it didn't work out between us because there's always fear, control, and domination. And every single time that something surfaces, they always go into the what if worst case scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, where's the love?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. Where's the love?
Where's the love? Right here, right now. I am love. We are love. We have to love ourselves in this darkness of this day that we're in all of our humanness and brokenness and illusion. Because really, beyond this veil, it's all just love, right? Like, it's love, right?
Yeah, perhaps.
Hopefully.
Well, so recognizing their contracts, right? What the fear-based contracts, the control is a result of something, right? So
Fear.
yeah, I mean, but we can go even deeper. Like, fear, why? Where did the fear come from? Fear didn't come first, right? Here's the thing. Fear didn't come first. Confusion and the loss of safety came first. Then the fear comes, then the contracts come. So when we just say fear, it doesn't really get us anywhere. We're just like, oh, it comes from fear. Like, that's great, but what's deeper than that? Like, the contracts are buried so deep, and the way that we bring them out, the moment that we say, we shame it, we make it wrong that they responded a certain way. Where's the love? Where's the compassion? Right? Where's my love? Where's my compassion? When we see actions and we see these things that are just kind of surface level, we're asking, like, where's theirs? Where's their love? Where's their compassion?
No, I mean the love. I mean the love in the world. The love. I'm talking like global, universal, collective, like all, like on a whole level.
Yes, but when we cannot see love, it's because we are filtered ourselves. We're operating from our own stuff, but we don't see it. We're like, where is the love? Well, the love is right here. You are love.
That's right. That's why
Right?
I'm on this call.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you.
That's
And
why I'm here.
and I'll pause for a second here. I'm gonna let Tala share.
Hey everybody. As you guys were talking about that, I kept hearing Black Eyed Peas in the background.
Dude, same here. Like 5 minutes ago, same thing.
So some of you might know that I'm a Vedic astrologer, and something kept coming up as you guys were talking about this, and we go through these difficulties and challenges within our situations and relationships. And my teacher, a good astrologer, would tell you that the goal of life is not to be happy all the time. The goal is that, you know, we're here to learn as many lessons as possible. And the reason why, especially from a Vedic astrology perspective, is because, you know, we go through the same signs, right? In Western astrology, we have 12 whole signs that we go through from Aries all the way to Pisces. And then in Vedic astrology, it goes even deeper. We go through the seasons and cycles of the nakshatras. There's 27 of them. And basically, we're here to learn all of the lessons of the signs, all of the lessons of the nakshatras in order to experience true liberation, true freedom. And the goal is love. Love is what evolves us to the next sign, to the next stage, you know? And it's that life is not meant to be perfect, but if we know how to deeply listen and love is our North Star, we're going to be able to burn through all those lessons faster with grace and surrender. And through that, we operate ultimately what we want to operate from is from essence, not from all these layers that, you know, hide what our true essence is. We build up all these densities along the way, and those densities maybe show us something, but ultimately we're here to be what do you call it, to be dissolved of those layers, and we need to operate. Ultimately we're operating from essence, and that's how we're going to make a true impact, and that's what we find our calling into dharma. And it's so important. Dharma is not just purpose. A lot of people are like, oh, what's my purpose in life, you know? Dharma is that you have a role, that you are aligned and you have a role in which you're operating in the world that comes from essence, that comes from choosing love as your North Star. And so I felt really inspired to share that you know, life is not always going to be, you know, rainbows and sunshine, and that we're going to be optimized as our like fullest self all the time. No, we become optimized when we can surrender, when we can operate from essence and learn as many lessons as possible.
Hmm. Yeah, so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. It's a great reminder. And thanks for being out here in Vegas with us and being on this call, making it important enough. And I feel like every time you share, you bring peace and love and groundedness to the space. So thank you for all the work that you do as well. Anyone else want to share anything?
Yes, I want to share. So yeah, Brother Miguel, my cousin went through the same thing. His wife falsely accused that he raped the daughters. So the court kept him away for 5 to 6 years. But every single day, my aunt, who's my cousin's mother and father, they prayed. They did not give up hope. 7 years later, in a courtroom, she lied. She was caught. Immediately, all six of her children were given to the fathers. And so there were three fathers. They all received their children. And my cousin had custody for the longest time. But this separation did negatively impact the children. She introduced them to drugs and everything. But even now, my aunt and her husband, they encourage my cousin to think positively, to just be positive. So the world can throw curveballs at us, but we need to be positive. And I understand you're in a different scenario, but I can understand where Alex is coming from. I grew up in acute poverty, so my mother had a lot of shame and inferiority complex and all of that. So, what she did is she used to be a very strict disciplinarian. She had no time or mental capacity to give us emotional support. So, just like brother Alex read, my mother was fighting her own demons. She was 1000% in survival mode. We were one step away from becoming homeless. So my mother was struggling to get us off the streets and have a roof over our head. We starved a lot. We had torn clothes, torn slippers. So she was so broken that she couldn't give clothes, food, and yes, proper care for her children. So what happened is there was no emotional support. So for many years, I grew up expecting validation from others. So, what I'm just trying to say is, like Alex said, there might be demons in your wife's life that she's trying to fight, ex wife's life that she's trying to fight. And another thing is, I brought all that baggage into my family life, and my second son was very upset with me. And he says, because I was always in survival mode, for example, the biggest regret that he has is every day in the evening he'll wait looking through the window from 3 p.m. for me to come back home at 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m. And his only thing would be mom's going to play with me. But every day I will end up cooking, cleaning, doing stuff, and I never played with him. So he felt like I kind of deprived him of his childhood because I was not there to play, enjoy, have fun. But I grew up in acute poverty. So always like working was like the mantra. So I couldn't break away from that chain. But now, 20 years later, he very clearly articulated and he said every single day how he was broken and he would go to bed with tears. But over a period of time, we are working on our relationship. We are talking and we are healing. So I don't know if there's any way where you could talk and heal and everything. But all I would say is two things. Just because something happens, don't take it for its face value. There's a verse in the Bible that says faith is hoping and seeing things that are not in existence. So even before you own 600 units, you need to dream of owning 600 units. That's what they call a vision, right? So don't just live in the moment, just dream, think positively, and just what happens right now is not everything. Like Moses was trained in the wilderness, Joseph was trained to become the best leader in the jail. Sometimes it is these valleys that are our best teachers. Teach us resilience, grit. So one event or one happening doesn't define everything. And the other thing is, you are saying you're a minimalist and all of that. My husband for 20 years said, we need to have a minimalist lifetime. So then I left a 5 bedroom house and I moved into a studio. And now, because my son came back from college, we kind of evolved it into a 1 bedroom situation. But the thing is, my family is heartbroken. They miss the old house dearly. And they say, when they see the old pictures, it's very depressing. But for 20 years, they argued with me for a minimalist lifestyle. So sometimes people don't even know what they want. So I'm saying, you're a minimalist. Maybe she's not. But don't look at her from your lens. Try to look at the situation from her lens. You be the good person in the situation, the better person, the better half. Try to stretch yourself instead of trying to make her understand where you're coming from. And I kind of took that stand with my son and I sit down and listen to him. For example, I'll just say this last story and I'll finish. My son got a job and he went and had this job. He spent 40 to 60 hours training the CEO's friend's son. This is with EMC, by the way. And then what happened is that boy wrote a false report against my son and said, he never taught me. So my son lost the job. This is no fault of his. His colleagues 2 months later told him that is what happened. And then later on, that boy was also fired because that boy was never doing work. He was always sleeping in his mother's office room. So now, what happened is my son felt like the world is very unjust, the economy is very unjust. And yesterday, when I was talking to my son, I openly said, do you feel a sense of shame? And he said, yes, sometimes I feel a terrible sense of shame, especially when I go for my school or college reunions and others are talking about their jobs. I said, what exactly do you feel? And he said, I feel like I've put my parents to shame. Let me tell you, my son, when he was in 5th grade, he did MIT courses. He's a very intelligent human being. This too will pass. It's a very temporary thing. And this doesn't define him putting us to shame or not to shame. So I just told him a W 2 is not the only way to live. We both can put our heads together. We could come up with a business plan. Why don't you do your thing? You're applying for jobs, you're talking to people, you're networking. Do your thing until end of December. January, why don't we revisit this? And I told my son, even when you're 60 years old, I never want you to think that you put your parents to shame. And I said, we will ever be proud of you. So, all I'm trying to tell you is don't think of it from your perspective. Like my son, right? He thinks like he brought shame to the family. He did not. So, this is why don't think of it from your perspective. Try to get out of your perspective. The truth lies somewhere out there many times.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Tasnova, did you have your hand up? Did you want to share something, little sis?
I I did. I'll keep it short because I really want to hear more of you too. I was just inspired to share. Oh, first of all, I want to give a shout out to Tala, for her Vedic astrology. I had a reading from her in February, and I'm just been assessing it throughout the year. And it supported me and guided me so much through this year, and I really needed it because this year was a blessing and a huge opportunity for transformation. And she gave me like sprinkles of rainbows before the curriculum started, and it was it's just such beautiful guidance. Just wanted to give a shout out to Tala why she's here. Um, because yeah, this year has really taught me, challenged me to confront very similar, parts of me that some people have mentioned here. A lot of healing, a lot of like going into the underworld and um, just facing some deep conversations that I didn't, have the courage to have before, didn't feel safe to have before, kind of like going to my survival contracts, and seeing like asking the question like why I don't feel safe in my body, and some relationships, my partnership showed a lot of like that reflection, and it's been really uncomfortable. But what I learned from that is the deepest surrender because it was just so unbearable that I didn't. There's like no, there's like nothing. There's full acceptance that I couldn't do anything about it except surrender. And I feel like because of that, this year, I was talking to my partner Eric yesterday and just telling him that in some of these moments I'll just like go make breakfast, and all of a sudden I have this stream of thought that's like, oh my God, I love my life right now. I love being a human. I love that I'm learning all these lessons. Like what a privilege it is. And it just comes in this stream and it just feels like so good. And Eric was like, that's the holy instant. And I was like, wait, wait, really? Wait, I didn't remember this. This is insane. So I was just like, and this was just yesterday that he brought it to my attention after like our curriculum coming to this place of returning to love at the perfect time. Some winter solstice is here, and realizing that this holy instant that I've been hearing about on these calls, I've gotten to experience it, and I really truly believe it's because I took some time to understand that suffering is a choice. I don't have to suffer if I choose not to. And it's my gateway to like learning and just practicing surrendering to God, practicing like being present in it and knowing everything is in divine orchestration for me. Which really just felt, I mean, it's one of the highlights of my year. One of the highlights of my year to be able to experience this. So I'm grateful to be on this call to kind of reflect, listening to Brother Mikhail, Christine, Hannah, of course, Tala, with your wisdom. Just like wow, okay, I'm really taking a moment going to celebrate my growth today. Celebrate the darkness that I welcomed and invited and loved on, and also the light that I've been creating space for by making room, to to sit with the darkness and hug little me again. Um, yeah, and then I love your chapters. I'm just like so moved that your gifts and talents are like this channel of service and your connection and devotion to God just comes through so beautifully and vulnerably each time you've been reading your chapter or sharing anything you write. Really, it's just like such inspiration that you can alchemize it to something so beautiful, and always go back and go to the depths of you too and bring back gold to be of service to humanity. Like I feel so inspired by you. To keep doing that, to keep that rhythm going and as a daughter of God. So
Mm,
thank you for the space. Love you.
beautiful. Love you. Thank you so much. And one of the things that you said, the holy instant and a return to love, that if you remember nothing and take nothing from this call away today, I think this is the point of the course. And thank you, Tasnova, for bringing it up. Is we experience darkness, we experience fear, we go through all this stuff, and we lose faith and we lose hope that love will return. Right? I'm just right now. Currently, I'm going through the end of really going through the ending of my marriage with love, and we gave it our all. 2025 was the year that we just give it our all and see where we end up. And now we're coming to the end of it, and it's becoming clear about that. And one of the things that I learned in our relationship is a return to love. Like what the course has been teaching about the holy instant. No matter how dark and how grim something looks, no matter how much the world feels to be weighing on you, there is this holy instant, like Tassim was saying. You could just be cooking, all of a sudden all the immense gratitude and clarity comes. That moment is literally waiting for us. This is why we pray. This is why we give things over to Spirit and to God, because we're carrying all these things. We're the ones that assign meaning to all this stuff. And so I have the last I don't know, 4 or 5 days has been extremely heavy and challenging for me. Randomly, I would fall into deep sadness and wouldn't be able to do the Zoom calls that I'm doing throughout the week. I've canceled many. I've had to stop in the middle of many. And just going through it and continuing to pray for this moment, the return of clarity, the return of love. I know it's there, and it comes through our invitation to it. If we stop trying to assign meaning and make up things and sign contracts, we have zero idea what all this means. And I think it is actually important for us to read this section here today. So as we open up to this, where we finally have arrived is the holy instant. And it just makes me connect even deeper to Marianne Williamson's book, A Return to Love. Like, it's that moment. It requires faith. There were so many times that Love and I got into arguments and debates and fights. I was like, there is no way we're coming back from this. And we did. And we did. And now I want, who am I? But I want our ending to be with reverence and honor of the relationship. That's what I want. That's what makes me sad, that it's kind of like, on her end, and this is how she's able to cope with it and deal with it. It's like complete separation, complete like wall that I experience, at least, I make up. And it's just like, oh yeah, nothing's wrong. Like nothing's going on. And, distance is probably best. And just like, well, for me, I take it as, where's the honoring of the 7 years that we spent together? And that's what hurts me. But I make that up, right? She can be experiencing, my control of it is like, you need to experience the same thing I'm experiencing right now. And because you're not, it means that you're not honoring. That's complete like bogus that I made up. And that's the thing. And the return, like there's going to be a moment that her and I return to love again, and it may not look like the marriage, but we support each other in such a, like, the honoring of what we experienced, what we went through. And usually when I pray enough and give this over enough, what returns to me is gratitude. Gratitude for the lessons that I've learned, the man that I've become, and the capacity to be able to put this into words, to feel deeper, to find the places within myself that I have hidden the contracts. And so I do think it's important for us to read this section here. It's called The Light in the Dream. And this will be a great way for us to just wrap up today's call as we enter into the holidays, to remember this. So as we read this section, just any heaviness, any conflicts, even the little tiniest bit of resistance to anything, let's just offer it up. None of this is ours anyways. None of this is real. None of the stuff that we're making up about this, about that, and assigning all these things. Like, let's pour our minds out right now. Let's empty our minds. You can just take a couple breaths in to release all of that. The need to understand anything, and what happened 10 minutes ago, what happened an hour ago, what happened this week. Like, just offer all to the Holy Spirit.
Alex, which chapter?
Chapter 18, section 3. It's called The Light in the Dream.
Thank you.
You who have spent your life in bringing truth to illusion, reality to fantasy, have walked the way of dreams. For you have gone from waking to sleeping, and on to a yet deeper sleep. Each dream has led to other dreams, and every fantasy that seemed to bring a light into the darkness, but made the darkness deeper. Your goal was darkness, in which no ray of light could enter, and you saw a blackness so complete that you could hide the truth forever in complete insanity. What you forgot was simply that God cannot destroy himself. The light is in you. Darkness can cover it, but can never put it out. As the light comes nearer, you will rush to darkness, shrinking from truth, sometimes retreating to the lesser forms of fear, and sometimes to stark terror. But you will advance because your goal is the advance from fear to truth. The goal you accepted is the goal of knowledge, for which you signified your willingness. Fear seems to live in darkness, and when you are afraid, you have stepped back. Let us then join quickly in an instant of light, and it will be enough to remind you that your goal is light. Truth has rushed to meet you since you called upon it. If you knew who walks beside you on the way that you have chosen, fear would be impossible. This is this all-knowing. If you just knew who walks beside you, no matter where you go, fear would be impossible. You do not know because the journey into darkness has been long and cruel, and you have gone deep into it. A little flicker of your eyelids closed so long has not yet been sufficient to give you confidence in yourself so long despised. You go toward love, still hating it, and terribly afraid of its judgment upon you. And you do not realize that you are not afraid of love, but only of what you have made of it. You are not advancing to love's meaning, and away from all illusions in which you have surrounded it. When you retreat to illusion, your fear increases, for there is little doubt that what you think it means is fearful. Yet what is that to us who travel surely and very swiftly away from fear? You who hold your brother's hand also hold mine. For when you join each other, you are not alone. Do you believe that I will leave you in darkness, that you agree to leave with me? In your relationship is this world's light, and fear must disappear before you now. Be tempted not to snatch away the gift of faith you offer to your brother. You will succeed only in frightening yourself. The gift is given forever, for God himself received it. You cannot take it back. You have accepted God. The holiness of your relationship is established in heaven. So this goal and all of this was established in heaven. That's why it's not that we're making our goals and stuff right now. Yes, we do, but all that is to realign what was already so in heaven long before we came. You do not understand what you accepted, but remember that your understanding is not necessary. This is a big line right here. You do not understand what you accepted, but remember that your understanding is not necessary. All that was necessary was merely to wish to understand. For your desire, wish to understand. Wait, where am I? Okay. That wish was the desire to be holy. The will of God is granted you. For you desire the only thing you ever had and ever were. Each instant that we spend together, will teach you that this goal is possible and will strengthen your desire to reach it. And in your desire lies its accomplishment. Your desire is now in complete accord with all the power of the Holy Spirit's will. No little faltering footsteps that you may take can separate your desire from his will and from his strength. I hold your hand as surely as you agree to take your brother's. You will not separate, for I stand with you and walk with you in your advance to truth. And where we go, we carry God with us. This section, this is like we hold our brother's hands. We hold the Holy Spirit's hands. And as we agree to hold our brothers. So the people that really trigger us, that cause our contracts to show up, right, in a toxic way or a harmful way, we agreed to hold their hands. This is something that's big, that's stuck with me in the course is, the people that really hurt me, and still extending compassion and love and remembering to do so. And I'm always so grateful when I return to that place. So before we're almost done here, but the person that just was such a big part of my last couple years, who I feel I make up, he betrayed me and owes me a lot of money, and then continuously, the same person. Anyways, I don't want to go too far into it, but still continuing to hold his hand, and every time that I feel like I'm a victim, I lose my peace. Then I remember what the purpose is here. I remember the goal is the practice of forgiveness and patience and to see the light in our brother. So he's been an amazing teacher. He's probably right there with love in the teachers of this year. The top two that just provided me the most lessons. In your wait, I already got there. Wait, did I? Oh yeah. In your relationship, you have joined with me in bringing heaven to the Son of God who hid in darkness. You have been willing to bring the darkness to light, and this willingness has given strength to everyone who will remain in darkness. Those who would see will see, and they will join with me in carrying their light into the darkness. When the darkness in them is offered to the light, it is removed forever. My need for you, joined with me in the holy light of your relationship, is your need for salvation. Would I not give you what you gave to me? For when you joined your brother, you answered me. You who are now bringing the salvation have the function of bringing light to darkness. The darkness in you has been brought to light. Carry it back to darkness from the holy instant to which you brought it. We are made whole in our desire to make whole. We are made whole in our desire to make whole. Let not time worry you, for all the fear that you had and your brother experienced is really past. Time has been readjusted to help us do together what your separate past would hinder. You have gone past fear, for no two minds can join in desire for love without love's joining them. Not not one light in heaven but goes with you. Not one ray that shines forever in the mind of God but shines on you. Heaven is joined with you in your advance to heaven. When such great lights have joined with you to give the little spark of your desire the power of God himself, can you remain in darkness? You and your brother are coming home together. After a long and meaningless journey that you undertook apart and that led nowhere, you have found your brother, and you will light each other's way. And from this light will the great rays extend back into the darkness and forward onto God, to shine away the past and so make room for his eternal presence, in which everything is radiant in the light. Ooh, I got chills and goosebumps from that.
Angel bumps.
Yes. So, yeah. I think for us, at least for me, the lesson here is to extend the light to somebody today. You know, as the desire to extend light to someone, even yourself, the desire to do so. Heaven's light comes to join you. The great ray comes to join your little spark, your little desire for love. All of the God's love and light is shining back on to meet your spark. And with that, like, what can't we overcome? And your little willingness, this is what the Course calls it. Christine?
I can see why you said that. What I said earlier was perfect for today. So thank you for that. I have a quick question. The second paragraph to the end, it says, time has been readjusted to help us do together what your separate pasts would hinder. Could you explain that?
Hold on, let me go back to it.
So it's in 30, like the second to the last sentence in 30. And it says, you have gone past fear, for no two minds can join in the desire for love without love's joining them.
Time has been readjusted to help us do together what your separate past would hinder. You have gone past fear, for no two minds can join in the desire for love without love joining them. So first, let's go backwards. All right. When two minds desire love, when two minds desire to join for love, love is automatically joining you. This is God automatically joining you. Okay, because your desire for it, that means that we're both calling for love. Love is here. Okay, so number one is that these two, as at the moment you have the desire and two people joining together, that means love is already here. It has already shown up in this moment. Now, time has been readjusted to help us. We go from linear timeline, from past, present, future, to the holy instant in this moment. So you don't have to worry about the past, because the past does not exist. Right here, right now, the past does not exist. So time, when we are in this space, let not time worry you, for all fear that you had of your brother is really in the past. So any fear that you possibly have, even for me right now, the fears and the stuff that are showing up, it's not really here. It happened in the past, and we are calling it into the present. So now we are adjusting time. We're understanding that time is not past, present, future. And if I can collapse that time, if time can be adjusted right now to the holy instant, I can say love has already returned with love and I. It's too many. With Kasha, my wife and I. Right? Love has already returned. It's just not in this moment. If we look at it like there is 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, now, 10 minutes later. If we look at it that way, yes, it hasn't come yet. But the desire and the willingness to have the faith that it's happened already, it's just not in my timeline, right? In God's timeline of eternity. Eternal is patient. And this is the confusing part of the Course, is that it elevates above space, time that we live in the dream world. Everything is governed by time. And because we think we don't have time and we're all going to expire at some point, the scarcity principle comes up. But imagine you just live forever. Imagine you never die. Does it matter if somebody says thank you now, or I love you now, or it says it in 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, 500 years from now? It doesn't really matter because you live forever. Right? So this is the readjustment of the time through our releasing of our mind of all this, trying to understand, right? This is why the Course says your need to understand is unnecessary. You have a need to understand all these things, but your need is unnecessary. And so if we break all of that down and all the words and the things we try to understand around it, it comes down to meet your brother with love. Have a desire. Meet your brothers and sisters with love. Have a desire for the outcome to be that, and that outcome is already so. See, we collapse the time through faith and trust. It has already happened. The Holy Spirit and God is infinitely patient, and we just simply need to realign our minds to that of the great ray. We are just little sparks now. You know, the world beats us up and constantly tries to put the fire out. And so the Course says for many, the light is so dim that we're just walking in the shadow and the darkness with a little tiny spark of light, grabbing onto anything for safety. And so as we welcome in the light ourselves, we shine the light backwards. We hold our brother's hands. Our light's just a little bit brighter. That's all we're doing, is we're walking each other home. Right? My desire is to find my brother and let's walk together. Let's take our sparks, take our lights, and let's walk together, because our light is brighter that way. And when we remember this, peace comes through. I'm like, I can be compassionate with myself for being negative and whatever. And also it happened in the past. Right here, right now, I can be kind because those were something I was operating out of. I was triggered by something. The events, the interpretations we have. So, we are about to head out to our hike and everything. So, I'm going to just leave you guys with that. And I hope that we allow the light to just shine through a little more for each one of us today, that our lights just become a little bit greater. And much love to everybody. Happy holidays. And thank you guys for being here today.
Much love back at you.
Bye,
Love
everyone.
you.
Bye.
Alex,
Great
love you.
hike.